So Israel is not bound by this agreement. We cannot and will not allow a regime that calls for the destruction of Israel to obtain the means to achieve this goal. We will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapons capability.
All right, folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg Show, hour number 2. Benjamin Netanyahu responding to the deal signed last night, or I guess it was Saturday, actually. Joining us now is our friend Caroline Glick, Deputy Managing Editor, Jerusalem Post, also Senior Middle East with the Center for Security Policy and Senior Middle East Fellow. And you could read her at carolineglick.com. Hello, Caroline. How are you?
Great to be on your show, Steve.
Well, thank you very much. It was good seeing you down at Restoration Weekend. It was a great event with David Horowitz and company. But let's talk about this. Your reaction to what we've seen.
This is really just a heinous act of aggression by the United States of America against its allies in the Middle East and against its own national security. Iran has pledged to destroy the United States. It's developing military bases throughout Central and South America for that explicit purpose. And Obama just approved a deal that all but guarantees that Iran will acquire nuclear weapons, and did so at Israel's expense, specifically Israel's expense, because his aim is to try to protect Iran from an Israeli military strike in order to preserve Iran's nuclear program against Israel. This is just a stunning act of betrayal by the United States government against U.S. allies in the Middle East.
How much truth is there to, the man who was elected to be the great uniter and has been nothing but the great divider, reportedly has managed to unite, at least to some extent, Israel and Saudi Arabia and possibly some other Gulf states together against Iran? Well,
crises bring clarity, and Israel and Saudi Arabia and the other Sunni Arab states are existentially threatened by an Iranian nuclear weapon, because Iran is out not only to destroy the Jews, but also to exert hegemony over the entire Islamic world, and their chief competitors in that sphere are the Saudis.
Chances are that, again, I read reports that Israel's been to Saudi Arabia to inspect their, in conjunction with Saudi Arabia, might do something.
Look, the same report that you're citing also cited the fact that the United States threatened Israel and Saudi Arabia that the mentor of Iran's nuclear weapons program and will seek to interdict or otherwise interfere with any attempted Israeli, Saudi, or other party attack on Iran's nuclear installations. So that, this is just a stunning reversal. It's hard to underline just how shocking American behavior is in this score, that they're uniting the Western world against Israel and against the Sunni Arab world and siding with the chief sponsor of terrorism in the world against themselves and against their own allies. It's really a stunning act of betrayal by Obama.
Now, yesterday on the Sunday shows, John Kerry had this to say. Well, why don't we start with Javad Zarif, the Mohammed Javad Zarif, the foreign minister of Iran. This will be cut 16, Will, talking about the right to enrich uranium. Here's cut 16.
We believe that the current agreement, the current plan of action, as we call it, in two distinct places, has a very clear reference to the fact that Iranian enrichment program will continue and will be a part of any agreement, now and in the future.
And then, of course, in cut 14, you had John Kerry asked about that by George Stephanopoulos on ABC, and here's what he said.
No, there is no right to enrich. We do not recognize a right to enrich. It is clear in the NPT, in the Non-Proliferation Treaty, it's very, very clear that there is no right to enrich.
All right, so there you go. Right off the bat, they signed the agreement, and each side has a different take on a very important part of the agreement.
No, I don't think that there's any contest here. John Kerry is lying, and the Iranian is telling the truth, because there are two places in the agreement that effectively recognize Iran's right to enrich uranium in contravention of 6 U.S.-sponsored, binding UN Security Council resolutions, which means that the United States and its partners are actually acting unlawfully when they signed this agreement with Iran. It's against the law that they themselves established with binding Security Council resolutions barring Iran from enriching uranium. The Iranians are right, because the agreement says that they can continue enriching uranium, something that they've been doing unlawfully and continue to do unlawfully. And it also says that they'll agree to the enrichment in the final agreement. And so there are two places in that agreement that say that Iran can enrich uranium. And what Kerry said is just lawyerly gobbledygook. I mean, the fact that the NPT does not provide for a right to enrich uranium has no bearing whatsoever on what he just signed with, again, the foreign minister of the leading state sponsor of terrorism, who has more American blood on his hands than any other regime on the face of the planet.
Yeah, that's the other issue here, is that even if they worked out a deal, which they did not, and they've capitulated, obviously, and no one's happy with this except Obama and Kerry here in the United States.
Iran, yeah.
And Iran, yeah. But you haven't addressed anything else. They're holding Americans in prison, including a Christian pastor who people have been, fighting for his release or urging his release. They say that came up in the talks, but Iran didn't do anything about it. And, of course, the terrorism. And they're killing our soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan as we speak. And none of that is addressed. It's insane.
Well, it's treacherous. It's not insane. I mean, this has clearly been and really I think that we have to understand that the Obama administration has been playing this like they're the good guys, and the Jews in America who support Israel and congressmen who support Israel are being led by an evil regime, which is not Iran, it's Israel. Because Israel, they claim, is a warmonger who's trying to push the United States into an unnecessary war, and anybody who agrees with Israel is inherently treacherous, is a traitor. So this is what their line has been, and what's been interesting about the anti-Semitic line that they've been pushing. I mean, this is clearly bigoted, anti-Jewish line, is that they have systematically ignored the fact that Israel is far from alone in its opposition to what the administration has done. Again, as we stated at the outset, the entire Sunni Arab world fears Iran, hates Iran, is scared out of their pants by the fact that the United States has just given the green light to Iran to become a nuclear power.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. One final question for you, Caroline Glick, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. The Congress, both Democrats and Republicans alike, have said they're going to go ahead with more sanctions. And Iran said if there are any more sanctions, then the deal's off. Is that a possibility in your mind that Congress will save this?
It's a requirement. It's a requirement, and not even just for this agreement. I think that what Obama's done, if Israel and the Saudis and whomever else has even just a modicum of remaining sanity, band together in defiance of the U.S. government and attacks and Iran's nuclear installations and prevents Iran from becoming a nuclear power, then that won't have anything to do with what Congress does or does not do. What Congress needs to do is defy the will of this administration, not because of this deal, but because what this deal does is destroys American credibility internationally. And the only way that a successor president from Obama will be able to in any way rebuild American credibility overseas is if Congress acts today and shows that what Obama is doing is not a reflection of the will of the American people. That is a signal that Congress has to send. Otherwise, the United States will never be able to reemerge from this as a credible world power that people will want to seek alliance.
Caroline, we appreciate it. Caroline Glick, reader at CarolineGlick.com. We'll